Warning. The following video contains violence, gore, and traps. Viewer discretion is advised.
Rico and his cousin was from the south side of LA. They wanted to come up. A pretty fast one, actually. They were just on the way to rob the plug, but this is nothing they were new to. Quan was Rico's cousin from Rolling 40 Crips. Rico usually did his dirt by himself, but this time he needed a little more help. So he hit up Quan, nobody he could trust more than his cousin. Rico had robbed this plug before, so he couldn't be in sight. He told Quan get in position for him to execute the plan and not fuck this up. Rico beats on him instantly. Rico steals Glock 23 and bottles of lean from the plug. Nothing new, nothing new. Rico told Quan to not say anything about the situation. Says his Crip friends might know the plug they just beat on and robbed. Quan didn't really pay it no mind. Moral of the story: Rico did so much dirt, he lost track of the people he slimed out. He felt that Rico would eventually backdoor him. Quan's gun jammed on him, so he didn't stand over Rico. The lady at the front desk heard the shots and rushed down. Rico was just holding on, thinking why over and over again in his head, knowing he had no bad intentions for Quan. The woman called 911 as she sees Rico gasping for air. Now let's take a few steps back. Quan was a main shooter from the set. He had real rank. Quan was paying his big homie Bucko a visit. Bucko took Quan in at an early age. Quan told Bucko anything he had going on in the streets. As Quan talked about the robbery, he mentions Rico name. Total opposite of what Rico told him to do. It took Bucko's attention fast. Quan didn't know his cousin was the biggest Crip hater, and Bucko was on edge with Quan at this point. He let Quan talk to get more information. Rico was the reason a lot of members got robbed or set up. Bucko himself had been robbed by Rico. After a while, Bucko causally told Quan he will kill Rico if he ever caught him. Quan said no pretty fast, also saying that must have been a joke, which pissed Bucko completely off. He couldn't take in the fact his best soldier is working with the biggest op. Killing Quan wasn't an option to Bucko. Sure did beat the shit out of him, though. Bucko had said to Quan that no real friends or family will make you play both sides. You got 10 hours to get it done. thought of killing his own blood, Quan woke up with his head rushing. Bucko's words finally sunk in, though. Why put your cousin in the middle of beef, he thought. At this point, he knew what he wanted to do. He started to think Rico's plan was to use him to get closer to the rolling 40s, and if it got bad enough, he would eventually backdoor him. It made all the sense to Quan. Bucko got the call from Quan he wanted. Quan told Bucko it was done. This was big for the 40s. Rico was a threat by his damn self alone. But as usual, it's beef everywhere. Quan got hit in the foot, barely walking straight. This couldn't have been retaliation for Rico. Rico didn't have members like Bucko. Bucko told Quan not to trip, he will handle it. He was long gone. Quan still let the switch go, thinking about his foot. It's been 2 weeks since Quan got off on Rico. Bucko and Quan were just making a store run before business. They were going to try to get Rico's old plug on their side with Rico gone. That was Bucko's plan from the jump. He wanted it all. Quan was just on point until something caught his eye. Quan approached the girl, starting a conversation. All Quan did was slide and smoke drugs. I guess he was trying new things. Girls in the hood can be cool, but even more of a problem. Especially if you're a known member. This type of behavior leads to backdoor. If Quan wasn't on point, then Bucko was. If Bucko wasn't on point, then Quan was. Bucko lost a lot of members due to Rico putting females on them. Even though the girl didn't look fishy, Bucko wasn't going. After a little conversation, Quan had the number. Bucko told Quan he needs to focus on tonight. It's big money involved, he said. Rico's not here to fuck this up. Tonight is where this shit begins. Quan was starting to feel the thrill again. He didn't have a single thought about Rico anymore. He also knew his last day could be any moment with this fast lifestyle he's living. Quan truly didn't care after a while. Bucko and Quan just told these guys they got a business offer. Didn't really say much. They had a simple plan for getting in the drug industry. Beforehand, Rico was moving drugs for these guys. Bucko was now going to take his spot, or at least try. Bucko started off by saying sorry for the loss you boys took. Rico was a soldier. The white masked man ignored it and told Bucko to talk business. Why should we let you in on this shit? Bucko replied, saying he's capable of making double the money Rico made for you fuckers. The masked man didn't like the way he was throwing Rico's name around. Shit was about to heat up. Bucko knew these guys were closer to Rico than what they said by the reactions. Quan was on point. That didn't really matter because Bucko had his mindset. Rico brainwashed these goons. He offed them with quickness, knowing they wouldn't go for the offer. He'll rather take it. Quan asked Bucko how they were going to get locked in if the Connect is dead. Bucko replied, saying the streets would know with Rico and his goons getting dropped back to back. It's some new shit going on. They'll have no other choice with us at the top of the food chain. Bucko then called the dealer from one of the dead guy's phone to set him up. Bucko was killing anybody that had ties with Rico. He was getting the score even once and for all. Quan didn't like silencers, but Bucko gave Quan his gun to get the job done. At this point, Quan was laying belt on everything Bucko pointed at. The next day, Bucko had Quan and Gordo pushing traps through the hood. They had heavy artillery due to the city being hot. They were strictly out seeing how the product would sell, but was for any bullshit that came their way. Gordo was locked in with the rolling 40s as well. He was just newer to the set. An hour went past before they got one customer. It was just some old meth head. The man got 3 grams before telling Quan and Gordo they should relocate by the city hall. He also states that nobody has been dealing the good stuff anymore. Quan thought about the money he could make if he trapped the city hall. Only problem he'll have is Hoover's, which is a rival gang that the 40's been beefing with for years now. Quan damn sure wasn't satisfied with 1 customer per hour. Believe it or not, the meth head got Quan to trap Hoover territory. Even Bucko wouldn't approve of this shit. Quan told Gordo to keep everything tucked. Can't be looking suspicious broad day. Then stated if Gordo peeped anything wrong, he better speak up, can't afford no fuck-ups in enemy territory. Gordo replied saying, does Bucko know about this? Quan knew Bucko would trip if it was a problem, but if they handled their business the right way, Bucko wouldn't even care. They went by a corner store. Quan told Gordo to trap the corner and the crackheads will come in hot. Gordo said he felt naked without his K. Quan replied, saying if anything it'll be a squabble, it's broad daylight, stop being pussy. After a good 30 minutes, the crackheads were lining up. Exactly what they needed it as long as they don't encounter the wrong member, Quan thought. Quan told Gordo to not take his eyes off that car. The man in the car was shooting a text to somebody. Quan and Gordo didn't think too much of it. They just figured he was at a red light and not scoping out the block. If that was a Hoover, they got the drop on us, Quan said in a non-caring way. About 10 minutes later, turns out to be that guy actually was scoping out the block as he called some Hoover members to go check it out. This was not common in Hoover territory. The Hoovers already hate everyone, so they didn't really have to ask questions when it came to other fuckers on their block, non-affiliated or not. Yes, they were in Hoover territory, but wasn't aware that they were selling their product a block away from Hoover's. The Hoover members went to the next block to find Quan and Gordo, as the man in the black sedan dropped their low. Gordo was hard-headed and still had the K tucked, just never got to use it. Bucko was just having a chill day. He didn't want no bullshit coming his way. He was celebrating his accomplishments throughout the past 2 weeks until his phone started buzzing. As Bucko checked his phone, it set something off in him. It was Hoover's in his hood with Gordo's gun. His head was racing with frustration as he texted the members. It was about to be war in the city once again. Just Gordo still explaining himself a week later to Quan after getting his gun took. Quan wasn't trying to hear none of the bullshit that came out of his mouth, just thinking of the ass beating that Gordo will suffer once Bucko touch back down in the trenches. Quan told Gordo that Bucko probably already knows. He keeps in touch with the hood no matter what the fuck is going on. Bucko got on Gordo's ass soon as he got the chance, explaining to him how the whole set looked bad because of him. He also stated that Hoovers don't ever shut the fuck up. They'll keep using this against us. Quan, on the other hand, heard Bucko's mouth for 4 years now. He just wanted some type of get back. Bucko told them to step outside. Y'all know what time it is. Bucko wanted his 30 seconds with both of them. Bucko's hands has been lethal since high school, no matter how many motherfuckers you put up against him. Bucko told them he's not trying to talk until a Hoover member is on a tee. I don't give two shits about a drug business right now. So a few hours later, Quan and Gordo was on the hunt for Hoovers. They wanted anybody they caught in Hoover territory. Quan told Gordo he has to put in work. I'm not the one that got my shit took. But he did offer Gordo his ARP. Gordo didn't have anything else. Gordo has been on multiple hits, but he was not the one pulling the trigger. Quan already knew how he was going to set this up. He used that same girl he met last week to set up the hit, by sending her a little hush money. Unfortunately, she couldn't get nobody to fall for the trap. Gordo was getting more thirsty and said, fuck it, let's bend through there. In his head, he just wanted to prove a point to Bucko and Quan that he wasn't pussy. They spent 2 hours lurking. They couldn't go to Bucko without no bodies dropped. Gordo ran up saying, give me all the shit you got, including my K. Gordo recognized the Hoover member from the group that jumped him and Quan. The Hoover member replied, saying he can repay him by giving money. Gordo remembered that Bucko wanted someone on a tee, not a gun or some money back. Almost like the Hoover signed his death wish by saying this. Gordo almost got distracted. He snapped back in reality and realized a free hat is in his face. They got out of Hoover territory fast as possible. Everything went smooth. Gordo was hyped, telling Quan how he had tapped the Hoover. They was more than up now. A body dropping over a gun is bad business for Hoovers. But this will only make the war in LA more tragic. About an hour later, the word got back to Marlon. Marlon was the one that originally sent the goons to get Quan and Gordo off the block. Also an OG and well-respected Hoover member. Marlon checked his phone and found out he was one member down. In the video, Quan and Gordo hints that they just spinned through Hoover territory. Marlon didn't expect it to go this far. This getting some Crips out his hood lead to his lil homie getting killed. He told one of the homies to gather the members. It's about to be a damn war. Meanwhile, Quan and Gordo was put up celebrating the bee they just caught. They didn't too much care about that gun anymore, but was ready for any wreck in the city. Marlon told his members he don't give a fuck. If he looks gang-affiliated on that block, shoot him up. Hoovers and 40s never liked each other, but now that blood was spilled, it was going to be bodies dropping instead of throwing hands. Hoovers needed some real get-back, not just a gun or whooping someone's ass. Quan wasn't really up to nothing, just chilling. He was with the girl he met last week at the gas station. They've been talking since then. Quan had someone to lean on other than the street life. It was a break from reality, knowing any day could be his last. He felt it was too late for that good life. On this day, Akia asked Quan if she could use his car. She was going to get her hair done. Quan replied saying, "He don't care, just be back, I got shit to do." You may be thinking this is the Hoover's work. Nope. Just someone back from the dead. It didn't take long for Rico to get back on his feet. After he killed Quan's new friend Akia, he wasn't satisfied. He felt that Quan didn't really give two shits about her. It was about 6 hours after the murder and Rico was still pissed. It wasn't Quan that came out of that house. He wanted Quan and Bucko gone for good. He knew they were into it with Hoovers, so he had a plan to kill members from both sides to make it look like a war, when in reality, Rico is dropping everyone like flies. He just didn't know where Hoovers be at and the main members, but Rico didn't really give a fuck. He was in their hood lurking. First person he seen that looked gang-affiliated, he checked. He asked the man where he was from. He told him, "Don't lie. I'll give you a pass. I'll just fuck you up with my hands instead of popping you." The man replied saying, "I'm from right here." He offed the man the second his mouth stopped moving. With another Hoover member gone, everyone would think this is the 40s work. Rico was crashing the fuck out. Quan was holding on, even though she was someone he had just met. Losing Akia was his first lost in the trenches and hit him in a way. It's no timeouts in this shit though, and Quan knew that. Quan and Gordo were on the way to collect drugs for Bucko. They were moving up in the drug business despite the ongoing war. Quan told Gordo to not say shit when they got there. "This is a big money move for us." This deal was expected to go right, unlike the last one when Bucko caught 2 bees and took the supply. Plus, these guys were more dangerous in the drug business. Bucko wanted to start dealing cocaine knowing it will bring in more money for the set. This would come with a high risk, but they needed money fast with the war unfolding. Quan and Gordo had no reason to panic. These guys they were meeting wasn't gang-affiliated, but still had to be on point. No telling who they have ties with. Gordo was learning the ins and outs in this shit. The dealer asked for names for no confusion in the future, then asked for their set. These guys didn't like gang drama and money business. They were strictly about money, no gang bullshit, which made sense. These fuckers were top of the food chain. Quan started throwing on this persona that he was just like them and was all about the money. He stated that Gordo is his cousin, and they have been trying to find a way for years now. We already been fucking up the city with weed. What you think we about to do when you give us product like cocaine? This made the dealer comfortable enough for them to move the product. He told Quan to follow. Gonna show you exactly what you about to be moving. The dealer told Quan, if this is too much, I can lower the amount. Bucko wasn't here, and Quan didn't know what Bucko would have said in this situation. But assuming they need money, Quan said he needs it all. The dealer replied, saying they could take the whole car before walking out of the parking garage. Quan low-key didn't like this. He just lost someone and he's worried about selling drugs. This rubbed him the wrong way. At the same time, he knew Get Back didn't have a date on it. Quan texted Bucko saying he has the supply, going to the drop-off point now. Bucko finally had everything going his way. He took Rico's business and made it 10 times better. His main priorities were making money and taking Hoovers off the map. His next goal was to turn the city upside down with the new product he's putting out on the streets, then eventually expand to different cities. Bucko wanted everything under him. Rico thought he could catch Bucko slipping the same way he caught a Kia. Maybe even scared, he didn't get on feet in Bucko's hood. His SUV was fucked, so he called Quan for wheels. Bucko actually came to a conclusion that his car was well known around the city, and that's how he almost got caught. Bucko was telling Quan what happened and how he needed to score on the Hoovers. He was clueless. Rico was alive. Quan replied saying these fuckers about to get the belt. They killed a Kia and tried to catch you too. We gotta go lurking. Bucko replied saying he's gearing up for this one. Them fuckers gotta see me. Quan stated that he will send Gordo to check out that location he sent to him. We can maintain the product there. Other than that, they were only trying to get at Marlin and the remaining Hoovers they were into it with. Quan told Gordo to check out the location he sent. If it's any bullshit, call me. You can take my car. While Gordo was deep in the country, Bucko and Quan geared up. Bucko told Quan to drive. Bucko just wanted to shoot some shit off the map. Bucko has many goons for this type of business, so for him to gear up meant something. First problem Quan and Bucko encountered was cops in Hoover's territory. This was most definitely because of Rico's work earlier that day. Rico's plan was working like a charm. Quan just ended up passing by them and went lurking a few blocks down. Marlin was on point and seen it coming. Marlin couldn't get back in his car, so he hit a cut. Quan had wheeled and slid to the back to catch him again from the other side. This time Quan hopped out too. Marlin was just running in one direction. He thought they'll drive off after not getting him the first time. That was a fucking mistake. After Bucko head tapped him, Quan got busy with fully ARP. They got gone fast knowing the cops blocks down heard the shots. In the Hoover's eyes, all they got over the 40s is a gun. They haven't scored in this war yet. To sum it all up, Rico is basically sliding for the Hoovers without anyone knowing. Quan and Bucko think Akia is the Hoovers' work. With Marlin gone, they got more confident, but the real threat was still breathing. Rico wasn't someone that crossed Quan's mind at this point. In his head, he still thinks Rico would have doored him eventually. Quan and Bucko were clueless Rico was still breathing. Gordo, on the other hand, didn't know Rico from the start and was ready to do anything Bucko said for more rank in the set. Quan sent Gordo here to set up shop so they can use this place to make more product when they were out. Bucko wanted to push their product out in the city and countryside for more money. He wasn't worried about a damn thing. They wasn't going to risk stashing this large amount of cocaine in the trenches. Long as they kept shit low-key, they wouldn't have problems with the law or the ops down this way. They wasn't ducking shit, though. Bucko told Quan and Gordo, they asked me to get to work or find workers. This shit is not going to get done by itself. Sometimes it don't matter where you go. The ugly will always find you. Bucko knew this wasn't a peace offering. They asked Bucko who the hell he was. Bucko didn't give them no bullshit and responded saying his name is Brandon. Then asked the men if he was trespassing. I just need a pack of cigarettes. I know that's bullshit, the man said, but it's plenty of stores on your way out of here, boy. Bucko wasn't going for this shit and replied saying, well, this is the first one I saw. So it's the one I went to, boy. Let's cut the bullshit. My Hoover buddies told me not to do this much talking, the man said. They knew who Bucko was for sure. Quan was the first one to hear someone else other than Bucko outside, but at the same time he didn't know if he was tripping or not. He told Gordo to stay here, better safe than sorry. We ain't nowhere near home. Quan was just gonna see what was going on. Nothing out of hand. Gordo didn't listen for shit. He was real thirsty for action. Once Quan appeared, the man told Bucko that murder cases down this way don't get solved. I need that money that's on your head, boy. Gordo's trigger finger was itching after that statement. Quan shouted to Gordo, what the fuck is wrong with you, before running upstairs to get the stash. Maybe he felt like they ain't have to do that. Gordo, on the other hand, wasn't about to let them fuckers kill Bucko. Seemed like they couldn't get away from the bullshit. It'd just keep on chasing. Rico was still sliding daily, trying to catch another victim. He was all through the 40's hood and didn't see anything. After a while, he called it a day and went home. This day, after sliding, he seen something he wanted and was going to take his chances. He needed some faster shit. Doors open, engine running. This will be sweet as candy, Rico said to himself in his head. He was the only other car at the gas station, so he sat in the car for about 3 minutes before hopping out to execute his plan. He hit the man with a clean ass, right then kicked him in his kneecap before taking off. The man wasn't gang affiliated, so Rico just took the car. After getting home, he removed the license plate. Rico was bold as fuck for this, knowing the gas station he took the car from is 2 blocks down from his house. After settling down and changing his gear, Rico got back home and checked his Instagram stories. He noticed Hoover's members posting Marlin. It finally hit him that Marlin checked and he wasn't the one that caught that bee. Of course, this pissed him off, and he knew Bucko and Quan were responsible for this. He wanted to spin through their shit immediately after this. The only thing he didn't know, that they weren't even in the city at the moment. Quan got as much of the product he could get and put the other half somewhere else. He also ended up renting a bike before meeting back up with Gordo and Bucko. Quan was talking Gordo's ear off about the situation that happened a few hours ago, saying what the actual fuck made him do that and how they could have talked it out. Gordo then cut Quan off, saying, that's where you're wrong. It was no way of talking that out, it's bread on my head. If anything, Gordo made a business decision. Are you two gonna keep yapping or figure out who's after us? Gordo replied, saying, I'm pretty sure it was Marlin. Who else could have did this shit? I'm just being real here. You don't know what he did before he checked out. Bucko's name and face was starting to ring bells everywhere. At this point, Bucko just wanted to know the price on his head to really know how serious this shit is gonna get. Bucko asked Quan and Gordo to go see what they know around the town. He's gonna find a new location for the stash. He told Quan he was going to take the bike that he rented. We need to split, it'll get done faster. Rico didn't talk to many people, but this one lady, the one that saved his life the day Quan shot him, he kept in touch with this lady and was even looking out for her. This day he went by to drop off some money. She worked 2 jobs, and Rico felt it was only right to look out as long as she's breathing. But he had a thought of creating a little crew himself from his old connections in the trenches, but that was just a thought for now. He still has a little PTSD from the last situation. She asked how he was holding up. If it was up to her, Rico's ass would be put up somewhere. She didn't understand why Rico was still in this environment after getting shot. It obviously wasn't a safe life for him, she thought. It was nothing she could tell him that would change his mind about his mission to terrorize the rolling 40s, if only she knew that. Rico dropped off about $3 grand and was about to leave out when she asked him, "Who did that to you, Rico? It's something you're not telling me." "This shit is real personal. Not really much to explain," he said before leaving out. After leaving her apartment, he was curious about his old connects. He texted Thule. The man that sold the product to Quan, Rico asked Thule, "Where is my shipment for this week?" acting as if he haven't been off the grid these last few weeks. Thule responded saying, "You know how this shit work, Rico? If you don't respond, I got a million fuckers that will move product for us. You're now just a liability, Rico." This set Rico off. He had a real good feeling of who took his spot in the drug business. He wasn't taking no more L's. He was ready to put his little cousin to sleep. Rico geared up and pulled up to Thule's warehouse. Rico used to move drugs for him, so he knew these locations. It was a known fact that Thule checked this warehouse every day. This is where he keeps all the supply. Rico was trying to catch everybody that had ties with the 40s at this point. He waited about 2 hours before Thule arrived. He was thirsty, and everyone he once had love for is fucking him over. That pretty much sums up the hunger behind these bees he's been catching. One mistake Thule made was getting comfortable, thinking you can stay in the drug business without violence getting involved. The last person you should underestimate was Rico.
Daniel, what's up?
Quan was getting a call from Thule. Rico called saying no more Thule, no more drugs, in a dark tone. Once Quan heard his voice, he hung up fast as his heart dropped to his ass. How in the actual fuck is that man alive? Quan asked himself. "You good, bruh?" Gordo asked Quan after realizing his quiet behavior lately. "I know it's not no bitch that got you acting like this." Quan replied, saying, "Shut that shit up. I just want to make some damn money and bullshit keeps coming our way. It's nothing to really talk about. Just stay on point. We obviously got motherfuckers trying to get us out here to be on a lookout for bullshit. Gordo said we can't let them find us before we find them. Being on a lookout isn't good enough. We gotta go hunt. Quan replied saying, "You right, but where the fuck do we start looking? I don't know my way around this damn desert." Gordo told Quan that fucker was looking a little too hard. "What did I just tell you?" Gordo would rather be safe than sorry. He told Quan to watch the door and he has the rest. Gordo ran in and instantly started laying hands and feet. Gordo asked where the man was from and who he works for. The man was obviously fucked up, but he didn't say a word to Gordo. Gordo said he wouldn't want to die over some bullshit that has nothing to do with me. The man was still quiet. At this point, Gordo knew he was after them, but couldn't get any more information out of the man. Whoever these people were, they were taught to shut the fuck up. Quan and Gordo wasn't the only ones making a store run. Rico didn't know exactly where Quan and Bucko was at. One thing for sure though, he was gonna upgrade his artillery. Rico wanted some shit like an ARP or Draco. He knew where to go. Rico was locked in with SOK. SOK was a gang on the east side. They were mainly known for being gun and drug dealers rather than gang violence in the streets. "Long time no see, old man," Rico said to Renzo. Renzo asked Rico, "Where is that light-skinned kid you used to be with?" "I used to see his ass everywhere with you." Rico replied saying he didn't know, he haven't spoke to him in months. "I've been doing my own thing lately, OG. Renzo replied saying, "Good to know. Anyway, I got what you asked for this morning." Renzo's goon went to fetch the weaponry for Rico. Once Rico got the new Draco, it was only one person on his mind. Bucko got calls and texts from 40's members telling him that one of the members just checked. Of course, this pissed Bucko off, but he didn't let this distract him. He was about to be on the way to a buyer for the supply, so he texted Quan telling him the news, saying him and Gordo should get back to the city and get shit back on lock. Once Bucko told the news to Quan, Quan was surprised how fast that shit went down. Rico was getting more and more thirsty and killing anybody that he catches in 40's territory. Everything was coming back to bite him in the ass. An innocent girl died for this shit and now my members are getting killed, he said to himself. He knew somebody close to Rico has to get touched, and he didn't care who it had to be, which made him think about OG Renzo. Renzo was someone Quan and Rico knew growing up. But at this point, Quan realized it was probably Rico that got Akia, so it was clear Quan was going to play the same game that Rico is playing until they bump heads.
What's up?
Fuck, Rico said over and over again, realizing he let his guard down. He got over quick and asked an SOK member who was killed. Chris, who was an SOK member, replied saying Renzo. They said they heard one single shot go off. This definitely was backdoor. Motherfuckers couldn't even get close to Renzo. Who the fuck is sliding and letting off one shot? Rico agreed and told him to come to the car. We can't talk here. Long story short, Rico and Chris ended up hitting 40's territory that same night. Renzo was like Rico's dad growing up. This loss only made him go harder. Rico told Chris the first fucker that comes out gets blitzed. The only people I'm sparing is kids. Quan was only out there to get his drugs. The plug dropped off. In his head, Rico was still grieving over Renzo. Quan had his ARP, but Rico had a Drake and Chris had a 26. Rico instantly got on that. The moment finally came. Rico was hit in the leg and Quan was hit in the hip. If Quan didn't react fast enough, he would have been a pack. This is just a gamble on life. Shit was only heating up from here. Gordo pulled up ASAP, knowing something went wrong. Quan got hit with a 6-2, so he had to get to a hospital. Quan knew he hit Rico, but at this point it seems like bullets doesn't faze him. Quan told Gordo it had to be S-OK, just call Bucko, we going to war. Gordo didn't say anything the whole car ride. Gordo dropped Quan off and got to hunting. Gordo wasn't no dummy. Quan didn't have to tell him to spin. It was mandatory. After contacting a couple bops, convincing them with payment, he got the drop in no time. Brizo was an SOK member that was just released from prison. Most men that comes out wants a little play, right? Gordo knew he could easily stick a bitch on him. It didn't take long for the play to settle in. Not long after, Brizo was already dropping his location to the girl. She told Gordo the location less than 20 minutes. These whores worked fast for their money for sure. Gordo told Bucko about the shit that's been going on in the city since him and Quan got back. He also said these fuckers from SOK popped Quan last night. I handled that though. I don't know who they are, but Quan wasn't really telling me much. We going to get him? I finally got the money. My driver is on the way, Bucko replied. First thing that Gordo told Quan was one of they ass already got belt. Don't trip. Quan told Bucko, let's go get to this damn money. Now I'm tired of waiting. Quan didn't know they were finally moving up after Bucko found a buyer for the product. Bucko wanted his drugs all through LA. Still clueless as fuck that Rico is breathing. Bucko told the three how shit was changing and they have to stay on their shit. Here's 10K each for the three of you. Go pay your mother's bills and stay on high alert. Gordo didn't fuck with this. He replied saying Deco's little ass only been with us for 2 weeks. How the fuck he gets pay? He didn't put in no work, Bucko. Dico replied, saying he's done real shit in the streets before this gang shit. Cut that bullshit out, homie. Bucko stopped the two from saying another word and told them to run the fade. We ain't doing no arguing. Who the fuck is really little now, Gordo? Dico said before walking off. Damien was Chris's homie and he was certain Rico got Renzo touched. He says Renzo didn't get touched until you came around. I don't even know why Chris brung your backstabbing ass back. Maybe he wants you dead just like me. Chris, get the fuck out of here, bro. Rico replied saying, if that's the case and you really feel that way, what can I do? Just don't miss when you shoot, brother. Rico's dumb ass was trying to play mind games thinking Damien wouldn't do it. His fucking gun jammed. Dumbass should have cleaned his gun before stepping out. Chris just looked away. He knew what Rico was about. The cops knew Quan for being a gang member. It was mandatory for them to search him every time they seen him. The war got more serious, so Quan carry his shit everywhere. Quan turned around and instantly knew he was gonna have to beat feet. He had his ARP tucked. He damn sure wasn't throwing his hands up. At this point, this was a game for him. He told the officers, y'all are making me late. I'm on the way to fuck y'all wives.
Hey, what's up?
Quan did this a couple times. He already had his escape plan down. Even if he didn't, he'll hang his hat up if he let these washed up ass cops get him. While Quan was getting his ass saved, Rico was teaching Chris how to take shit down. This, what he was originally teaching Quan before that little situation. But you know, shit hits the fan. The person that was about to fall victim to Rico's trap was a local rapper named Lil Spanky. Rico just wanted some money and that fly-ass chain Spanky always have on his neck. Spanky got out the car asking Rico where the fuck is the studio. I got shit to do, bro. All Rico could do is laugh in his head knowing what's next. Chris told Spanky to empty his pockets and take the chains off. Don't do no crazy shit, bro. I guess he was dying about his chains. This made Rico's day. He knew Chris wasn't scared to catch a bee. Gordo came in the kitchen to brag about saving Quan. He told Quan to get used to it, as if he was always going to be there for him. Quan replied, saying, "Thank you, bro, but you know damn well if I was on wheels I would have lost they ass in a second." Gordo replied, saying, "Yeah, okay. We gon' see if you can do that shit next time. Anyway, what's up with the bread? That little 10K was cool, but that shit ain't life-changing. I'm thirsty for this shit you don't understand, bro." Quan replied, saying, "I get it, but save your bread and one day we can go legal with this shit." That's how this shit go. We never do this for long. We get the money and get the fuck on. After a while, Quan and Gordo decided to go to the mall. They were enjoying their first 10K even though they wanted more. After leaving the mall, Quan seen an easy take. He told Gordo not to do anything crazy, just look over there. Gordo peeped the gun the man had and didn't care about anything else Rico had to say. Gordo was used to taking shit down. It was normal for him at this point. Quan just let it happen. He walked, so he won't be heard until he was close enough. Then the ass beating started. After taking the gun, Gordo told Quan to get his ass in the car. Gordo had took a switch with a 50-round mag attached. In LA, this was some crazy shit to have, knowing how hot the feds are. But at this point, they for sure needed it. The 40s posted up on the south side originally, so being on the east side was like a new chapter for them. Bucko wanted to expand, but not in the drug industry. He just simply wanted fuckers to know he run the city again. Who knows what he really wanted? Bucko already had said in his head that he was going back to his old ways, sending his do-its to get the job done while he kick his feet up. This is how shit was always supposed to go. But like I said earlier, shit hits the fan. Bucko had a mission for Quan and Gordo. He also had a bigger payment for them. They knew this shit would be a walk in the park. They have 10 or more hats combined at this point. But this time, Bucko made sure someone was with them on this mission. Gordo didn't like this shit not one bit and implied that him and Quan will catch whoever, but this motherfucker can't come. Bucko replied saying, "We are family. Anything you got against Deco, you need to drop that shit." Once Bucko left, Quan also made sure they were all on the same page. Told them they have to put all this shit aside once they suit up. He damn sure wasn't putting up with their shit. After a while, Quan told Gordo and Deco about the details Bucko told him and broke down the plan. He specifically needed Deco to catch this bee though. Even the Quan and Gordo knew they could handle the shit themselves. It was Bucko's orders.
Daniel, what's up?
Everything was running smooth, drug money coming in, and the ops couldn't touch them. Gordo and Quan was on the way to the dealership to look at some cars. They had a cool $30K each from the work they'd been doing for Bucko. But all that got canceled when Bucko called them and told them to get their asses down here. Now, they didn't have a clue to why Bucko was acting like this, but they pulled up. Not like they have a choice. Bucko wasn't saying anything for about 10 minutes until he finally came to confront the members. He called everybody rookies. He then stated that nobody died on that last hit. And you fuckers are so dumb. Y'all didn't even cover y'all tracks. They already know it was 40's work. Quan cut Bucko off, saying, "Hold the fuck up." Bucko replied, saying, "Who the fuck are you cutting off?" Quan didn't say another word, but he had every right to be mad. Gordo said before that Deco wasn't capable of doing this shit. Now everyone is getting the blame. Rico, on the other hand, was coming back up and getting back on his feet. He didn't have to question Chris's loyalty. Over the past weeks, they've been fucking the city up. Damn near took down every plug except Bucko. He wasn't in a rush to catch them anymore, he knew. Get Back didn't have a date. He was just worried about structure and money. With that, he'll fuck over the 40s. He told Chris to gather real faces and they'll start from there. There gotta be some real trust and brotherhood in this shit, you know? Everything was falling in line for Rico now. He got what he wanted. His own set and members he can rely on. He needed his official spot back in the drug industry, but he knew that shit was long gone. They don't wait on nobody, and when Rico was in the hospital, they cut ties with him. Rico had about 90,000 saved up. Yes, this is somewhat hood rich, but Rico wanted to take over Los Angeles. Same thing Bucko wanted. He already had the new faces outside, making sure shit was on lock. Nobody really knew who they were. Yet. Rico came by dropping off his godmother's monthly payment. This time it was about $6,000. She didn't really have a way to thank him, but one thing for sure, she wanted him out of this bullshit. Only if she knew he's just getting started. In her head, She thinks she can put words in his head that would change his whole thought of life. Rico didn't have a limit when he was gonna stop. Long as he was getting money, that was his way of living life. Plus, he was getting his way with this shit now. Rico was hitting them hard every chance he got. This was just a wake-up call. Bucko knew he had to inform his guys on how shit was gonna change. Even though he was pissed, he knew he only had his members, and he stood on loyalty. Tyron, one of Rico's guys, was responsible for the shootings. He let Rico know the job was done. He didn't confirm not one kill, though. He told Rico the one with cornrows is for sure dead. Later on that night, Quan and Gordo was back on bullshit after getting the news. Dico was a vegetable. He was here, but he wasn't, and that fucked them up. They went through East Side to catch another victim. These are the members that Dico failed to kill. Quan and Gordo knew Dico wasn't for it. Quan wished he could have stayed out of this shit. Gordo was gonna back up Quan, right or wrong. Even though he didn't get along with Dico, at the end of the day, Gordo and Dico were still kids. Gordo stopped the first male that walked out of the store. It was rare for a coincidence to happen at gas stations like this in the middle of the trenches. Gordo asked him to bang his set. "Try that tough Tony shit if you want to." The man replied saying, "I don't bang shit. I'm just from over here, bro. Calm down." Gordo wasn't letting up that easy, though. He told the man to run his pockets. "All that shit took since you not banging your shit better not have no pole." Quan wasn't going back to Bucko without a confirmed kill. Rico was making his comeback. Him and Bucko were sending hits out and both sides was on the way to making real money. How can this shit even turn out? Chris told Rico they are EBK. It only makes sense. "We ain't doing no clicking up." Rico took it and ran with it. He got Chris and iced out EBK Chain M. At this point, Chris was like a brother to Rico, just like Gordo was to Quan. The 40s have picked up beef, with SOK, who is now EBK, Hoovers, and some fuckers from the east side. Quan knew he was going to have to tell Bucko sooner or later Rico was alive. He was becoming the real problem in all this shit. He's like a damn mastermind. Rico and Chris formed EBK, a gang that stands on loyalty and doesn't go for no fuck shit. The only thing they wanted now was blood and money. Maybe they'll invest into some legal shit someday. But as of right now, the streets was too hot for that shit. Rico and Chris didn't forget about OG Renzo, but they needed a source of income. Rico already informed Chris how this drug industry work in LA. This shit gets deep, but they were gonna slime the motherfuckers that was doing the sliming. At this point, Rico done took down every plug. But he knew his next move had to be a big one. He had a camp now. He wished he could think of something that can help everybody eat forever. He was damn near ready to pull a heist, but it's only a matter of time until he just takes what everyone else have. Quan and Gordo didn't have much to talk about. It was clear as day what needed to be done. They were waiting on a low. Quan knew Rico could have had something to do with Dico, but most likely the east side. Bucko sent them a location. The member they were gonna check out was downtown. Not much of a difference, just more damn pigs. Didn't take long until they spotted the car that the east side member was in. Couldn't have been better timing, they thought. The East member ended up crashing into a building. Gordo didn't know if he confirmed the kill, but he was pronounced dead 15 minutes after Quan and Gordo left the scene. Just another face that will be missed. Bucko got the news. At this point, if Quan and Gordo was on a mission, it would get done. No if, and, or buts. Bucko knew as long as the money came in, nobody's fucking with the 40s. Bucko and Quan talked about the next drug shipment and how much the payload would be. Yes, they made money, but they needed more supply to make even more. Bucko didn't plan on going broke. He had members that was willing to move large amounts of weight through the city, so he wanted to keep this organization bigger, even expand it one day. But Bucko cut out the business talk and started talking about Rico out the blue. This was surprising because he didn't really bring up dead ops. Yup, exactly. He didn't bring up dead ops. He told Quan not to lie and starts questioning him about loyalty. Bucko was certain Rico was still alive and was just waiting on Quan to tell him. But that never came. Seems like Quan did a little practicing. This won't help. Bucko was right back to flushing shit, unfortunately. Bucko lost it and beat the living shit out of Quan. Better to beat his ass rather than kill him. Quan was still something to Bucko, but trust was lost. While Quan was knocked the fuck out, his cousin was making moves through the city. Rico didn't know where these guys were from, really didn't give a damn, long as he get what he needed. Bando and Tyron were also in attendance. They knew what they were there for, trying to get real rank in this shit. Rico started explaining how he could move weight for these guys, saying he has real structure in the trenches. Rico had a silver tongue. Damn near everything he said sounded good. The nigga in the red jacket asked Rico where he was from. We just don't need no damn complaints. We ask everyone this if we're doing business, you know. Rico didn't hesitate to say EBK. He knew nobody really knew who they were and they would just underestimate. He then stated that it's just something me and the homies claim. You don't have to worry about losing your shipment. My members stay on point. Who the fuck does Rico look like working for someone else? They should have known. Bando was Rico's top member at this point, knocking shit off the map. Rico had a little payment for him. He earned his rank for sure. Chris stated to Bando he has 5 bands for you and Rico got the other 5. Don't get too comfortable though. The tough guy never wins in the end. Bando replied, saying he understands he was just proving he wasn't pussy. I stand on loyalty and brotherhood. Just show the face and his ass will be out of here. Chris replied, saying good to know, brother. I'll catch y'all later, gotta get these bowls off. Chris continued telling Bando about the rolling 40s. He had some shit cooking. whispered to Gordo. Mind you, Quan didn't know Chris, but he knew he wanted that fly-ass chain, not knowing he's about to fuck up Rico's oldest recruit. Chris started by saying, "I'm sorry, brother. I wasn't on 10. They took my damn chain and my sweater. Them fuckers was thirsty." Rico didn't say a word back, like he was disappointed in Chris. The ride back to the trap was pretty silent. Rico wanted to know who did this shit ASAP. He knew Chris was close to rolling 40s in Hoover's hood. He already texted the other members to hit the trap. Don't need any more bullshit going on. Rico told Chris he's gonna show him some fuckers, just point them out. He was in the middle of 2 hoods just beyond 10 next time. Rico was pulling up Quan's story from this morning before the incident even happened. Chris said, "Dead homies, that's him. Fuck. I seen them lil fuckers plotting, but..." Rico really wasn't hearing that shit. He was finna put money on Quan's head. At this point, he was fed up with his ass. He thought Bucko would be the main threat. He ended up telling Tyran and Bando he has 20K each for Chris's chain back, 40K if you kill that fucking lame. Damn! That was damn near all of Rico's money. Just shows he wanted Quan gone for good after giving him a little breathing air. Shit was cooking up and real faces were about to get belt. Everyone was making real money and got what they wanted. Now they're just gonna use it to fund a damn war. The trenches were getting darker and darker. Kids didn't play at the playground how they did just 3 months ago. Cops heavily on the lookout for any gang activity. Both sides were making real money, so shit only got worse. And as things get worse, more eyes are focused on the beef. Even the eyes you don't want looking. Majority of the law does their job throughout the city, not looking for anything specific, but Detective Henry was specifically trying to wipe out gangs in LA. He called himself a legal stalker, as he would stalk gangs throughout the day without consequences. He put a lot of motherfuckers away in the past 15 years. He peeped the shit no other officers or detectives peep. And studied the system constantly. He wasn't a fan of taking down a member or two. He needed the whole gang, which will result in a Rico 90% of the time. He already issued 10 in the past 2 years. Quan asked Bucko how he was fucking with the chain. This was basically his apology for not telling Bucko about Rico all that time. Bucko replied, says, "Of course I fuck with it. Plus it always look better when you ain't pay for it. You gotta tell me about this motherfucker that actually had the chain on though." Quan replied saying, "Dark-skinned dude with lil braids. He has to be a new face. I never seen his ass around. Me and Gordo just walked in the store by the block and seen this big-ass EBK chain on his neck. His ass was clueless." Meanwhile, EBK members were busy stealing strikes. They could sell these, but they were mainly for trying to get that 40K on Quan's head. They already had a couple hot cars, but a couple more won't hurt. And Rico already told them it'll be a lot of bloodshed over this shit. It was like the army getting supplies before war. Bando told the other members to kit up that truck. That motherfucker perfect. Damn near took them 2 minutes to take a $70,000 truck with the pro pad Rico gave them. Harsh reality of living in the suburbs of LA. Chris ended up telling Rico he felt like he'd been letting him down lately. I thought I was on 10 gang. Rico replied saying, don't trip. His ass can't hide behind money forever. We already fucked up their last shipment by taking them connects off the map. We just keep fucking with their little drug operation and killing the fuckers they close to until we catch them specifically. Chris replied saying, just let me know where we starting with this shit. Rico started laughing saying them members already suiting up. I already broke that shit down to them. They hitting blocks tonight. Trust me. If Bando in that strike with them, somebody most definitely losing their life. But we not focused on what they focused on. You know Bucko has to have a spot where he stores all of his drugs. It was just about finding out where that shit was at. We find it and burn all of that shit. Every 40 you see put his ass down. No more passes, that shit's been dead. With that shit done, they ask gone be clueless and in shambles. We make sure we do this shit right though. It's gonna get real tragic and bloody in the next couple weeks. Gordo instantly got mad seeing the two thoughts he hit last night, asking them what the fuck y'all still doing here. One of the girls replied saying your drunk ass paid for our section telling us you'll take care of us. We not leaving. Next time don't sell us no fantasy, dumbass. That reply actually pissed Gordo the fuck off. He wasn't doing no more yapping to these bops. Okay little bitch, you funny. You know what? Stay y'all ass right there. Gordo came out saying, I said get the fuck out, bitch. They both got the fuck on with no hesitation. Gordo didn't know a better way. Yo, buddy, can you move away from my shit, Gordo said. I'm already pissed off. I'll beat the living shit out of you right now. Detective Henry took a sec to think about what Gordo just said before asking him what were those girls running from Gordo. They looked pretty terrified. Looked like they was running from the devil himself. Tell me, Gordo, are you the devil? Or are you trying to prove a point? Time's ticking, brother. Didn't take long till Gordo realized he's talking to a Fed. He knew to shut the fuck up. This shook him up just how Henry intended to do. I'll leave you alone though, kid. Wouldn't want the members to see you talking to a cop, right? Henry said before leaving. Gordo knew Henry did that to show Gordo who's really in charge of this shit. He just wanted to show his power, but with the right evidence, he'll take action. Gordo had to tell the rest to slow the fuck down. Meanwhile, EBK members were out on 40's block later that day trying to catch anybody. They lurked till they ran into some younger members. It could have been a little debate, but the streets don't got no age limit. Bando wasn't going back to Rico without no bodies dropped. He knew how personal this shit was for the gang. Bando told Pete, the youngest EBK member, to bounce out and blitz their dumb asses. He didn't hesitate. Didn't take long until word got back to Quan and Gordo. Quan had a feeling Rico was up to some shit. Seemed like life just been too good. Quan was fed up just how Rico was a week back when Chris's chain got snatched up. Quan ended up texting Rico that same night telling him he's dead. Quan had just came to realization that the chain him and Gordo snatched up belonged to someone Rico cared about. He knew this timing wasn't random. He knew it was war for sure. He didn't expect Rico to send the blitz on his young'uns like that. They stayed out there every night until Rico got mad enough. He told Gordo about how everything lined up. Now it's no more waiting. He couldn't live this fake rich lifestyle Bucko wanted them to live. Rico is becoming a fucking threat. We can't let this motherfucker build a team. It'll get bad. Yeah, but what about this weirdo that knows my name and knew where I was at? He gotta be a fed. We can go with our move tonight, though. 2 teens lost their life. That's all LAPD might be focused on at the moment. I'll kill whoever out there, Quan. It ain't no love in this shit, brother. We gotta kill anybody that get in the way of this shit. I'm sorry, but you've been getting soft, gang. Tighten the fuck up. Shit was getting ruthless. They stood over the man in front of a child. Gotta do what you gotta do, huh? Gordo and Quan had crazy chemistry on these drills. Definitely not leaving with only one hat. This was only the start to a killing spree. Henry was just on his usual routine of fucking with a gang. Today, I guess he decided to fuck with EBK. He wanted to see this war happen, you know? Put everyone away one by one. Or watch everyone crumble in one ball. In his head, he was going to control all the bullshit that Rico and Quan stirred up. For weeks, Rico and Bando had been staking out the 40s. They'd been tracing moves, following drop spots, and watching they block damn near every day. Bando told Rico straight up, if we ain't got tabs on Quan or Gordo, we go after Bucko first. Probably the main breadwinner over there anyway. He said it calm, but Bando was a damn crash out. He was tired of running in circles, tired of being played with. Rico let out an evil laugh. He was impressed with how Bando thought. He knew Bando was ready for this shit. He looked at him and said, "It's whatever, but I'm not satisfied until all three of them fuckers are dead. You know that." Rico told Bando to check it out. Nobody just comes through the hood. They damn sure didn't recognize him. Bando took the lead and approached Henry, but Henry wasn't here to fuck around. He was here to send a message. He also wasn't no rookie. He'd been on these streets long enough to know who was who. Soon as Bando got close to Henry, Henry told him that he must be Rico's new pet. Nobody but the rest of EBK knew Bando was a new member, just like majority of them. So just like Gordo knew, Bando also knew this was a fucking Fed. No random just knows information like that. Henry made Bando look dumb as shit, walked up just to be in for one hell of a surprise. Henry isn't showing his hand quite yet, though. Just a reminder showing who's really running shit. Quan and Gordo been running the same route for months now. Same corners, same customers, same pressure. At this point, it was safe to say they had the hood in their hands. But Gordo money-hungry ass felt he needed even more. He explained to Quan how he feels they should be making more money from this shit now. Quan just told him yo ass would never be satisfied. Get your shit together and don't think about the money too much. We got a drug shipment to pick up, brother. And this fucker Rico already killed some of the dealers that supply us with the drugs, so no half-ass doing shit. Be on point. Quan walked up knowing some shit wasn't right. They were missing a brick. It was usually 4 every week. Sometimes they'll get extra, but 4 was mandatory. The dealer they're meeting? He was nervous as hell. Told Quan, "I can't keep doing business with y'all right now. The beef y'all into is deep as shit. He's losing heads, losing members, left and right. Shit, this might be the last time I'm able to do business with the 40s. Quan got mad as shit. The news hit him hard. All the planning, all the moves, fucked up. Rico was showing him every sign he was getting closer to the prize. Gordo didn't hold back. He let the dealer know how pussy he is. You should know what comes with this shit, little ass boys. Gordo was all about the money. He couldn't accept everything they built up just got fucked. He already had it set in his mind he wasn't paying for this shipment. Shit, y'all cutting business and only show up with 3 bricks? Y'all asking for that belt at this point, what the fuck? Quan didn't like explaining shit like this, especially not to Bucko. It wasn't his fault, but it was. Should have shot Rico with every bullet he had. Shit was closing in faster than he thought.